So there was a situation this Friday, March 7th of 2005, where Child Protective Services was called on Ethan and Ela Klein of the H3 podcast. And we're going to look at Ethan's response to that and some other people in the snark community's response to that. This is another escalation in what has been like a 1.5 year long tirade against Ethan from these snark communities since October 7th event, and even more so since Ethan and Hassan Piker split up their Leftovers podcast. I fully believe that legitimate criticisms can be made of Ethan Klein. I don't think that you have to like Ethan Klein, and I think that you can go on Reddit and talk about the criticisms you have of him. But the things that have been going on with these snark communities have been absolutely insane and unacceptable, in my opinion. Ethan actually has a pretty progressive and left-wing view on Israel-Palestine, but because he does believe in a two-state solution, as Hassan did before October 7th, so I'm not sure why it's such an egregious position. I think Ethan even believes that eventually a one-state solution would be ideal, but as things are right now, he is just right that objectively, one state is not going to work out. There needs to be justice. There needs to be reparations paid. There needs to be restoration of dignity for the Palestinian people. The apartheid-like conditions in the West Bank and Gaza need to be ended. They need to have their own sovereignty. And Ethan Klein, is his position. But because he has not passed the purity test or towed the line that these tourist activists who didn't know anything about Israel-Palestine before October 7th, he has not towed the line that they have set. Apparently, he is just the worst person in the world and worth spending every waking moment of their lives going after. Like I said, have your criticisms of Ethan Klein, but engage with what he actually believes and engage with it proportionally, right? Nothing Ethan Klein has ever said justifies this level of harassment that he's been receiving. So we'll jump right into his response here and see what he has to say.
This morning, listen, in our long career of being influencers in the public sphere, we've been swatted several times. People say, "Hey, I killed my wife and kids, and I'm in the closet, and I'm gonna kill myself."
And I put bombs around the house.
It's usually something like that, and then the helicopters come, fire trucks come, police come. I remember it happened where they went around the perimeter of our house and
So the sniffing thing is a new tick that he has apparently picked up. I recognize that makes audio hard to listen to, but just bear with it.
Shredder got out. It was so scary. That part was so scary. We weren't there at the time. We've also had the FBI come to our house, actually, at this point, several times. One of them being to tell us not to open any packages until further notice. Until further notice. Yeah. Those were all, I'm pretty sure, from more on the right side of anti-Semitism, Nazi-adjacent types of shit. And we knew that because one of the guys who doxed us, I was getting letters from the Department of Justice for an entire year updating me on this guy's case.
Yeah.
Who's a member of, what's happening?
He's fixing my camera, I think.
Oh, okay. I forget he was part of some neo-Nazi gang that was actually responsible for assassinating people for real. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name, but it was a real.
Yeah, there's
a name and a face.
So that's what we've been through. Although I'll say this morning, we after all these years, still getting new experiences. This morning we got a visit from Child Protective Services. Because
the crazy thing to me is I feel like so many of these snark people they know all the lore. They have been fans for years and years and years. And back in the day, many years ago, when Ethan just started going more left wing, more liberal, a lot of the commentary community like called him out for a lot of stuff, and a lot of these same people called those commentary people like Nicholas Diorio, etc., anti-Semitic for going after Ethan. And now, like, a lot of them are saying the exact same things. And a lot of these people who have been fans of Ethan for like a good chunk of his career, who liked him through a lot of the insane stuff that he has done, are now going back and like re-purity testing him for all of these things. It's so weird.
I told this story on the show a few weeks ago about how when we adopted Olive, she had Giardia, and then the next day, Sonny started having diarrhea, so we suspected he might have Giardia, seeing as that he's an infant, he's crawling around, he's putting everything in his mouth, etc. Makes sense, right? It's obvious. So it turned into this whole snark narrative that our house is a mess, that there's dog shit everywhere, that Sonny is eating shit and getting Giardia, and that, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And well, it culminated in somebody finally, an anonymous call went into them on the 3rd, saying that they were somebody that works at the house, and they wanted to report us because our kids are crawling around eating dog shit and getting viruses. And they were able to provide enough details because of what I said on the show to make it appear that it was somebody. He said, like, when he first showed up, he's like, it's somebody that you know who made the report. And I'm like, no, okay. So, I mean, they used, I mean, yeah, you could easily impersonate.
Yeah, so like it's inconclusive, like, who actually did this. But I think we have enough to know that it was definitely somebody from like the snark community that has been going after Ethan. Several days before this, there were a lot of posts about CPS maybe needing to be called on Reddit, on certain people's streams like Denim's. Bad Empanada, who is like notorious for doxing people and like actually calling for violence against people along with those doxes, which is part of the reason why, like a year ago, Hassan said that he will never platform Bad Empanada or watch any of his videos on stream. But, you know, now that they have a common enemy, he's fine to platform and watch him. Until recently, when Bad Empanada made a video going after Hassan, saying that he actually helps to spread Israeli propaganda. And when asked if he would watch that, Hassan said, no way. So I think it's clear that Hassan is just not interested in watching any videos critical of him at all on stream, not just from Ethan. But Bad Empanada also perpetuated or maybe even started this whole theory of the kids. Basically, he said, like, you know, obviously the kids are like crawling around the floor. There's shit all over the floor and the kids are eating the shit. When in reality, like we're talking about like a very small parasite. And even if like everything is spotless and clean, you know, these parasites can transfer in many different ways that don't involve like neglect or abuse at all. But at the end of the day, it was found out that nobody had Giardia except for the dog. So that whole point is just null and void anyways. But yeah, I think we have enough, like it's not going to be like a random person that's calling this in, because these people, whoever called it in, is watching the show religiously, figuring out like every line of attack that they can. So I don't think that we'll probably never know who actually did it unless they come forward. my, it could just be, it really could just be like any random person from the snark community. But if I had to guess, it would probably be Bad Empanada.
Oh, sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
What's truly like despicable to me is the fact that like you hear so often that CPS, like that they're not always.
They're underfunded.
Yes, and also it always like seeps through the cracks for some reason.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they were so on it here, it's like that could have gone to a family that really needed it and a child that really needed to be saved. Like
I was pretty surprised. I mean, one anonymous call. I was like, that's all it takes. But I guess the thing is, he was like, we thought it was someone who.
I can't imagine how scary.
The guy was very nice. He was a very professional, a nice young guy, very nice. At first, he's not from our world. He doesn't understand.
It's a good point because CPS, I've had a lot of involvement with like the foster care and adoption system. I have adopted siblings. My parents did foster care a lot, and there's just a lot of corruption in the system. A lot of kids get taken away for illegitimate reasons. A lot of kids that need help don't get the help that they need. And to waste resources for the goal here was either to I think probably the primary goal here was to like intimidate Ethan. But like you don't call CPS unless you are okay with the possibility of the kids being removed. And like, I just can't fathom that unless there was like clear and present danger for the kids. And like, that's just not, any reasonable person would not come to that conclusion for Ethan and Ela. And so like, it's just bottom of the barrel, scum of the earth behavior to do this.
Stan, and I try to explain like this is part of this harassment campaign. We've been visited by the FBI, we've been swatted, this and that. And we talked for a while. He gets it, but there's certain things that I guess he has to do. So he looked all, I mean, you walked around with him. I was upset about the whole thing.
Well, yeah. I was very upset as well.
He
wanted to look at everything.
Well, the house is spotless.
He was checking the house and like, where do the dogs go potty? Because we heard that there's poop on the floor.
And the house is spotless.
Our house is so clean.
And also we literally installed this huge outdoor, I don't know how you call it. It's like a huge outdoor area connected to a doggy door.
Yeah, because we live in an area where there are coyotes, and we did fence our house like really well. They don't really get in the backyard, but for our own peace of mind, we wouldn't let the dogs out unsupervised.
Hell no, in the middle of the night, especially if we're
especially in the middle of the night. So we set up a doggy door for them that once you exit it, you're in a totally enclosed, like a huge cage. It's not like a small cage. It's like a room. Yeah, I mean, everybody in our house is very privileged, including the dogs and the kids. So I showed him like, we take them out. They have a giant backyard, and then they even have this enclosure that we built just for them so they can go out safely at night. Then I showed him the kids' rooms, and he's like, oh yeah, lots of toys. And I'm like, yep, lots of toys. Then he wanted to see Sunny. I went to show him Sunny, and he fucking woke up Sunny that was taking a nap.
He did on accident.
Not on purpose, but he wanted to take a look. And Sunny is like, they sense everything. Yeah. The babies can sense. And it's like, what the fuck is this stranger staring at me in my room? Mm-hmm. We looked at Sunny, then they wanted to talk to our nanny and ask questions. Who feeds the kids? Who takes care of them? Who takes them to school? And like,
What do you do when you get angry at your kids?
Yeah, what
do you
when
do
get
when
angry?
a dog poops on the floor? And then the part that, in my opinion, crossed the line was like, so I'm going to visit your kids at school and ask them questions. And I says, you're not fucking doing that.
No,
I mean, we
that's-
both were like, that's not happening. You're
No.
not going.
Terrifying.
You are not doing that.
Yeah, so like typically they'll do that to like catch them in a different environment, also catch them separately from the parents, so that they can kind of, and like typically like in any time CPS is getting involved, it's never a good thing, whether it's fraudulent or legitimate. Like it's never a good situation. It's never a good situation for the kids, but sometimes it is necessary to catch them, in a place where they might feel like safer away from the parents to be able to like be honest about, what might be going on. But when it's like a fraudulent case like this, like it's just, as a parent myself, like that's just like not going to happen. Like you want to protect your kids from, typically you want like, schedules to stay the same. You want like stability in their life. And when they don't have that, even if they are not like forming like memories at such a young age, that they're going to remember, for a long time, regardless, certain situations, certain changes in their life can cause issues with them that they don't understand themselves. Like, even though they don't really remember certain things, the effects of those things still carry on with them. And so it like just putting kids through this for what ultimately amounts to like petty, idiotic YouTube drama is utterly insane.
So he agreed to come visit our
Come back
house
next week.
when the kids are at home because he needs to fucking interview our kids as a matter of procedure.
But I was like, I really don't want you to create any bad memory here for them. Like, they are 5 and 3. They don't understand this shit. So I told him, if you want to come, and I'm going to tell them that you're our friend, and I'm going to be there, and you can ask them questions as our friend, we can do that. But like, anything beyond that is not happening.
I do want to clarify the guy was very nice and understanding.
The guy was nice. I have no problem
He's
with
just
the
doing
guy.
his job, but like,
it's not related.
it's kind of hard to believe that one anonymous tip can result in this fucking
One anonymous
massive waste,
call.
One
call.
massive waste of time and resources from a vitally underfunded, understaffed, overworked department that does really important work.
But then you hear about stories, people that actually need the help and they don't get it.
That's what Olivia was saying. Yeah.
So frequently.
Yeah. Shit. I don't know. But I mean, at what point is it like, and this is something, if you go on Reddit and you go on the snarks, this is something, and the new snark that they all migrated to is completely unmoderated. This is something that this is a narrative that they've picked up and talk about all the time. And I just wonder at what point, I think Reddit is just waiting for me to kill myself. I genuinely, I don't know what it takes. And I think if...
That is what it takes. Somebody eventually will do that. And then they'll be like, oh no, there's this phenomenon called snark pages.
We had no idea.
And then the journalist will write about it.
Legitimately, I think that, I think that's what a lot of these snarkers want. And even if it's not something that they would admit that they want, like if it happened, they would be happy about it. They would put forth some kind of justification for it. They really are like more disgusting than like the Kiwis Farms community, because Kiwi Farms, like, yep, they gossip a lot. Yep, they do dox people. But they have like a strong like rules against like harassing, against stuff like what's going on with the snark community. And like they know when to, like they're a lot more fair. Like in a situation like this, they can say like, yeah, we don't like this guy, but like, yeah, this is definitely over the line here. We can agree on that. But like for the snark community, like they will justify literally anything. They're already doing it with this situation. There's no like honor or logic with it. It is just purely hating on somebody, and to any end really, as long as they I think they really want to just destroy Ethan, and no matter how they get that outcome, I don't think they really care
about it.
The
And they'll be
fucking
like,
journalist, by the
can you
way.
believe this phenomena of snark pages?
The same people who are like, Ethan
Yeah.
Klein is actually in a state of psychosis.
Yeah.
He says that nobody's ever been harassed like him in this history of the internet. And actually, I'm going to interview the mods of these snark subreddits and also characterize them as heroes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do. Like, at a certain point, I just really don't understand. Again, Trisha's subreddit was ruining her life, or the snark one.
Yeah.
It was super toxic there, and she got it removed fairly easily.
You know what I would like to say too is that like if she actually cared about us and about other parents and children, she would tell her friends to back off. Because to me, a lot of these people are her fans. It started as Frenemies 3 for the people that remember. There was Frenemies.
It's hard to say like how many like what the mix is on people who are or were Trisha fans who are like coming over to this snark. Snark is such a cancer. It's a cancer on the people that they go against. It's a cancer for the people that participate. And I think like once, you know, a certain person or topic kind of runs its course, they just like they have to latch on to something else or someone else. Like they need it in their lives. And but yeah, it is like confirmed that like some of the people involved at least are Trisha fans, which is just incredibly ironic.
Then there was Frenemies 2. Then Frenemies
Right,
3
I forgot about all that.
was like the latest snark page. Then it became
Shout out to Frenemies 12, by the way.
a rebrand to
Yeah,
H.
that was a real one. They went all
It
the way
became
up to 12.
H3 Snark. And then Israel-Palestine happened, and they took this like, oh, okay, actually we can pretend that we actually care about Israel-Palestine, and that's our new cause. But
Despite
I'm pretty sure.
I think the Israel-Palestine is like as an activist cause has just been used by so many people, used and abused. Like it just, like I call them tourist activists. Like it's like a lot of the same people who, you know, posted the black squares on their Instagram for Black Lives Matter. And then, you know, a couple years later, they're nowhere to be found having to do with anything regarding like prison reform or police reform or it's just like a trendy thing that people hop onto and it makes them feel good about themselves. But also often their activism consists of harassing people online that don't really deserve it into, you know, holding the quote unquote correct position when they themselves are going to not really be involved in the movement within a year or two, sometimes even months. But for these snark people in particular, I think it's given them like righteous justification for their cause.
A lot of those people are from Trisha's days, and then they also like combined with Hassan, so it became this like axis.
Yeah, before October
all these
7th, it
people?
was like pretty much just a collective of really deranged weirdos that nobody took seriously.
Yeah.
And then after October 7th, it really took off. And it started going mainstream when people like Hassan and other people in the world started citing it and calling it out. And people like Adam McIntyre who are like, I respect Snark.
Yeah.
They're doing good work.
That's
And
exactly like
Ethan-
what's frustrating me with the whole internet right now.
he did a video on that Miko's Rhetoric video that I did a response to, and like just like even people who were like fans of Miko's Rhetoric like were like, hey, I love you, but like, what is this? Like, this was weird. This was like poorly researched, poorly presented. Like, this is not you. What is happening here? But Adam was like in total support of it, and it was just like the most, I think, like insincere. I don't know what else to say. Just like horrible commentary from him on this.
Is how everybody's such a hypocrite.
I think he is just like a mean girl through and through. Call the like overall commentary community what you want. Sometimes they get things wrong, but typically they try to be fair, and they're not gonna like go in on somebody just because they don't like them for the most part. But like when it comes to this, like people like Adam McIntyre and people who like try to skinwalk commentators come in and like try to do this, they're not fair and balanced, and I think that's important for commentary.
Hypocrite. And when they want, they can cite the snark like some actual source. And then when it doesn't fit the narrative, then they'll say whatever. But yeah, I'll even ask Trisha, why don't you say something to your fans? I haven't seen her say anything, but I know how she knows how it feels. She was saying she was suicidal.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'm not exactly sure how she got hers down. I've heard it.
I mean, she was saying she was suicidal. Probably that's how.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not cynical enough to lie about being suicidal, like she is, but at a certain point, it's like.
And I mean, when she was on the show, she talked about how she loves following the Vlog Squad and like
true.
Following all their dramas, and she.
After this too, like seeing people comment on like this online that like all that like. They're not even engaging with the fact that like CPS was called. They're just like clipping out like a 12-second little spot of Ethan like getting really frustrated and being like, I've seen people say like, oh, this has to be cocaine. Like, oh, he's so mad. Like he's against free speech and everything. It's just like, okay, like, yeah, maybe he's not doing the best. Like maybe he's unwell. Maybe he's crashing out. But like y'all are actively contributing to that. Like that's what you want. Like just admit that. Saying like he needs to get offline. It's like, this is his job. And if y'all weren't doing this right now, he would just be talking about, the normal H3 stuff. Like this wouldn't be happening. It's just so insane. It's like, oh, would you not be frustrated? Like I think over the years, like obviously he's probably developed a thick skin. Like he said, he's been swatted. He's had the FBI come to him, etc. He's probably got a pretty thick skin, and I think they're probably handling this decently. But still, it's not ideal. He's probably not doing great, especially after someone called CPS on his kids. It's like, can you not empathize with that? Like, the selective sympathy for these people who are ostensibly supposed to be progressives, leftists, like just all of that goes out the window with this situation here. They do not care. They do not care.
Checks the Reddit all day long. I'm sure she does it with H3 Snark.
No, yeah, I'm sure that
I'm
her
sure
and
she
Moses,
does.
and
So
Moses
for everybody
especially.
that loves Trisha's new arc and loves to parade her,
Well, what I don't understand is all
I'm
this-
sure that's what she does. She's on Snark every day, probably. If she actually didn't like what they were doing, she would tell something to her friends to stop it.
Well, I actually at first didn't even think that it was Trisha fans. I was like, this is too deranged. Like, it's been a long time. I doubt these are Trisha fans. It seems like too political. And then through our research and our informants, found out that the two main snarkers are Trisha mega fans.
Yeah, and that was a confirmation for me. I thought it was for a long time. I knew it was actually because I remember it was Frenemies 3. That's where it started. It originated from those people.
You're right about that.
We never had a snark before. There was never such a thing.
So, and
to anybody that has a problem with my opinion, that is my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion based on my experience with Trisha, with frenemies, and with everything and whatever the fuck I'm going through. That is my opinion. You can disagree.
Like, regardless of how many people are Trisha fans, the fact that like some of the ed mods who, like Ethan has shown, and I think there's a lot more that we're going to see, like with the lawsuit coming out, that these people have like coordinated to like mass spread false narratives, false posts, fabricated posts throughout the internet on different Reddit pages that have nothing to do with Ethan. That these, like, some of these people who are like the kingpins of this are in fact Trisha fans. And so like, and Trisha is like an actual Jewish supremacist, has said that like she is not with Palestine, that she is 100% with Israel. So it's just like, it's just like, obviously these people don't care about the Israel-Palestine situation. It is just a vector for them to attack Ethan. There's just no coherent position there.
You can think whatever you want.
I don't think you say anything that bad. I mean, I accused her of lying about being infertile.
And I know that some people had opinions about that, and I think you're entitled to your opinion too.
Yeah, but
opinions are opinions.
I have a very
They're based on our personal experience and what we're going through.
I mean, listen, if you want someone's opinion about Trisha and Moses, I don't think there's anyone more informed to talk about them than me. You know, but anyway, listen. The ironic part about it being Trisha fans is that they've really adopted the whole genocide narrative.
Yes.
They found that was like the most effective way.
And that's the next thing that drives me so crazy. Because like, if that's actually your cause, but you have no problem with Trisha and Moses, then what the fuck? What the fuck? She showed up to our holiday dinner dressed in IDF costume, and you're okay with that?
I mean, she's also done stuff on video where she's like, we don't care about Palestinians. We're full Jew. We're full Israel all the way. And I mean, and you want to talk about Hila being a secretary? Moses was he was served in a combat position in the fucking Air Force.
And I don't.
Yeah, like every criticism that they have of Ethan and Hila apply like tenfold to Trisha and Moses, her husband, who is Hila's brother.
Have a problem with what he did.
No,
but you should apparently. That's my point. Apparently, you should have a problem. But you guys, some of you guys, a good portion of you are Trisha fans. So you just found a new cause to pretend that you care about.
Well, the unfortunate thing has been picked up now by Hassan and
that's
people
my
in
next
his orbit.
problem.
Yeah.
Is that people like Hassan will cite the snark like it's an actual source for something.
Yeah. No, they do.
I swear, the whole world has gone crazy.
Well, while simultaneously, Hassan's someone who's like, crying to live stream fails moderators to, you can't. I'm being harassed. You have to remove me. Don't talk about me. The Reddit they're obsessed over me, and it's so unfair, and it's like nobody gives a fuck. But someone like Adam, especially, who's like on record being like, I respect Snark.
Adam McIntyre needs to just like disappear. That guy is a piece of shit, like of the lowest order. I never even stood by him when he talked bad about Trisha having a kid and called him like the spawn of Satan. He was supposedly on our side. I would never even co-sign that. I was disgusted by that statement too.
Isn't he?
But now he's back on Trisha's
he's
side.
trying to buddy up. I think he's trying to get on his own side.
Now he's back on her side. But I remember when he called her kid the spawn of Satan.
I never said anything.
And
like
I was
that.
supposed to be like cheering on, but I wasn't going to cheer that on. That's disgusting.
Why do we forget that he called her children, which is something we would never do, the spawn of Satan?
It's disgusting.
And
a piece of shit of a human.
It's just incredible who ends up being the good guys in this story. You know, it's really something.
I honestly don't care anymore. I really don't care about anybody and anything. And it's an interesting place to be at mentally. But yeah, I'll talk shit about anybody. I'll talk shit about anybody. Everybody's so two-faced. So
And I see like so many people who like either are involved with this or aren't, and like just kind of not really taking the side, but like saying like, why didn't he just like stop talking about this, or like stop like talking about Israel Palestine? Like it, like the hate and harassment just would not stop if he were to stop talking about it. I don't think it would stop. It would probably get even worse for them to try to get his attention more. I don't know. But like when it comes to something like this, like you can't not talk about it. And I think, as Ethan was saying a little bit too, like for the whole show, like his whole thing has been, wanting to be like open about his life and honest about like things that go on in his life. It's just like, I think he has a right to talk about this
they're
stuff.
shallow in reality. They're so shallow, surface level. And yeah, that's what I really feel.
Yeah, friends like these.
Oh yeah, and our other good friends.
Yeah.
Anissa and Ian. Yeah. Thanks, Anissa, for standing up for your girl. I actually stood up for you so many times because, like, why would I not? It was crazy. It was crazy. People were shitting on you.
This is crazy. So if you don't know, like, a former editor for Creator Clash 2, which is Anissa and iDubbbz's boxing charity thing that they did, which lost a ton of money and made zero money for charity. But the one of the former editors for that, which I don't know what there was to edit. It was a live stream, and they didn't really do any promo for it. But like past like week or two has like really gone in on Ethan, like talking about basically accusing him of like intentionally killing his dog, just like really gross stuff. And like the only thing Anissa said was like, oh, we don't like work with him anymore. And then like that was it. And then after this here, Anissa like posted this passive aggressive thing on her Instagram, like why are you acting like I ever owed you anything? Like just like it's such a bare minimum thing to do. Like you don't even have to take sides here. Like all you have to say is like, yeah, like regardless of whatever is going on or what anybody thinks, like this is a bridge too far. Like we don't condone this, we condemn this. That's really all they asked for from Anissa. And that was too much apparently. So just really snaky behavior in my opinion.
You and Ian, because you did OnlyFans? Of course I was going to stand by you. That's insane. It's absolutely insane and disgusting. But now you choose to hang out with people that would have a problem with you if you defended me. So,
The problem.
okay, if you want to hang out with those people and have no spine and not stand up for another girl that stood up for you, enjoy your new friends.
She's friends with people like Denim.
I know.
Her chat,
Yeah.
which I'll
she's
show
friends
up.
with
And it is incredibly spineless. And like at the end of the day, she's not obligated to do anything, but like it does show that she is like a spineless fair weather friend.
Denims is actually participating in this whole child protective service lie.
Yeah,
Which I'll
and if
show you
you're
guys
friends
in a
with
bit.
them, then you're seeing what they're saying, right?
Oh, well, that child protective service is even the worst thing. I mean, she said worse things about you and me.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how you can be my friend and also be friends with someone like that.
Well, you can't. So I already forgot about you.
The last thing I said to Anissa, we were texting before I ever talked about it. And I said, she's like, I don't care about this guy. He's a nobody and, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, then you'll have no problem publicly denouncing it, right? Mm-hmm. And then from there, the conversation ended.
She never replied.
Never responded.
But it was so funny how she immediately went to comment everywhere, like on our subreddit. She immediately had to comment like, "Oh, he doesn't work with us anymore." But that was it. That's all she said.
But then say that you don't.
Okay. Do you have
agree.
anything else to say for your friends though?
Just say he doesn't.
Like-
At least say something like he doesn't work for me, and I strongly disagree, and I support Ethan and Hila. The problem is
that she doesn't.
that's the problem.
That's the problem.
She actually
She thinks they
probably-
have a point.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Well, I've already burned these ones actually.
I know
You're late
you
to the
already
game.
did most of the work. I'm just
You're
coming
late. You're late to the game.
I'm just coming to enjoy the party.
Let see the flames burn. I mean, yeah, this was kind of like a line. What happened today that should never be crossed, even by like the most cynical, toxic people. And
Like exactly. I just don't understand why people can't leave it at just like gossiping online. Like just leave it at that. Like you don't have to like Ethan. You don't have to agree with him. You can think he's the worst person in the world, but like don't take it to this level. It's fucking insane.
it's going to have ramifications in terms of how I conduct myself.
In terms of how I see other people.
In terms of these fair weather friends who are, you know, so happy to be friends as long as they're getting something out of it. But as soon as it's like, it's so easy to be anti-racist. Everybody's anti-racist.
Mm-hmm.
Racism is the worst thing in the world, right? We fucking hate racists. Fuck racists.
Microaggressions.
But
and all this stuff.
the minute that they actually have to stick their neck out for somebody, the minute they have to actually risk something to put themselves in under scrutiny, to actually sacrifice something personally to stand up for racism, then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I don't want to get involved.
And that's drama.
How much do you care?
I don't do drama.
How much
Sorry.
do you actually care? Isn't that the whole point? Like, if you want to speak against racism, if you want to be that good person, that activist or whatever, like, isn't the whole point that you are saying difficult things, that you're taking the difficult stance? You're not it's not about going along with the crowd and being like, I hate racists, guys. Aren't we all the best? It's about actually fucking doing the right thing when it's difficult to do.
Yeah.
I mean, go back to the civil rights. You think that the people who are like the white kids who are protesting with the black students, you think that they were just like not risking anything? Those kids who are marching with the black students and...
I mean, why is it inspiring? Why is it inspiring?
Well, and it's the same thing, to bring it back to Hassan just because, but it kind of is the same thing. Like, I was thinking about going to Gaza
Yeah.
until I found out it's dangerous.
Until I found out they don't have like a 5-star suite for me with private security.
would-
All right, I don't really vibe with him like comparing his situation to the civil rights movement, but like he's also not wrong. Like so many of these quote unquote activists who care so much about these issues, like there's just no actual like sacrifice or like even like activity, like even activism. There's just nothing there. Just imagine how much good these people could be doing if they like directed this energy into something productive, right? Like there's the saying that like leftists can't organize a picnic, and that's like largely true. But for some reason, they've decided that this online activism of essentially just harassing people who are much more aligned with them than not is somehow like doing something. And it's, you know, it's why they will never do anything productive for any of the causes that they care about outside of just like, you know, raising money for causes, which is, you know, not unique to leftism at all. Like you can totally be a liberal, you can be a Republican, you can be anything and raise money for causes. That's not special. These people will live their entire lives and die never having done anything productive to increase the material well-being of other people. It's just like they They don't care about, increasing the material well-being of people. They just fantasize about hurting people that they don't like. And that's it.
Waiting
I was
there.
guaranteed the presidential suite, and they can't offer security. So now that I found out it's dangerous, I actually am not going. That is performative, and people are still applauding him. I mean, that's evidence. That's like the most tangible evidence that he's a total performative activist that doesn't give a single fuck about the cause. Otherwise, he'd go. He would show that he would go.
Like people like Anissa are the perfect example because she's friends with these people. She's friends with Denims. Denims is streaming this story about our
I'll
kid
show that, yeah.
getting Giarda from the dog, whatever. By the way, that's not what it was in the end. Ethan was just sharing his thoughts, what we were thinking, we were speculating, like, humans.
Well, I'm very open about everything. It's part of what I decided a long time ago was an aspect of the show of how I wanted to conduct myself and how I wanted to relate to the audience is to be open as possible about every fucking thing in my life. I bring it all to the table, right? That's just like how I decided to conduct this show, how I think it's interesting and how I can relate to real people,
Yeah.
And that's part of what I do here every day, and that's part of what that story was when I was talking about how, although it's very obvious if you listen to me talking about it.
Well, to circle back to what I was saying,
Yeah.
Anissa is a perfect example. She could tell those people, hey, you know what? That's too far. You should not say that. That's not okay. I've been to their house. Their house is clean. They treat their kids nice. I've seen them with their kids. She could say so much. And it would make her a little bit uncomfortable, right?
And that's just like, to me, that's just like the bare minimum, like as like a normal, like decent human being. That's just like the bare minimum. Like that's just, you're not really sacrificing anything. Like even the most like ardent Ethan haters should be able to agree and accept that.
It's not comfortable. She'll get a little bit of shit.
Yeah, just for
But
saying
that would be commendable.
And by the way, it kind of speaks for itself that saying, hey, their house is clean, they're actually good people, like that's going to get you shit. That kind of says it all, doesn't it?
It does.
Like that's in my opinion doing something that's
Yes, it
difficult
does.
and standing by your principles. That's the whole point. That's what makes standing by your principles admirable, is that it's not always easy. People want to stand by their principles. They want to be these heroic advocates, but they don't want to risk fucking anything. Hassan should go to Gaza. And if he doesn't, he should be severely judged by his audience for being a
it's
total
part of
fucking
why
coward.
I judge him. He doesn't know shit about that conflict. He's never been to Gaza, never been to Israel. He doesn't know shit about it.
No, he doesn't.
He does not. But
He can like info dump a lot on the conflict, but most of the information that he has been on been from highly biased sources who are more interested in presenting a certain narrative about the history than like accurately representing it. And to some degree, you're going to find that there's a lot of that in the Israeli-Palestine history. You're going to find that on both sides. You're going to find Jewish and Israeli historians who want to present a certain image. You're going to find the same thing on the Palestine side. And the truth is somewhere in between. There's a lot of inconvenient truths for the Israelis, and there's a lot of inconvenient truths for the Palestinians. But Hassan is only ever going to accept and put forward a certain one. And the certain one that he puts forward basically paints Israel as Nazis. And that's just not the case. Israel has committed atrocities. They are 100% have and are mistreating Palestinians. Palestinians deserve justice and dignity and sovereignty. 100%. but Hassan doesn't know. He doesn't understand the history, the conflict. He just has a bunch of information that he can dump on people from highly biased sources.
He talks like with such authority. Oh my God. You would think he's been there like 5 times since October 7th already.
You sound like someone that needs to talk to Sam Cedar.
Yeah, Sam Cedar, another one I'm ready to burn.
By the way, Sam Cedar agrees with me. I just saw a clip of him the other day being like, saying that he's too state.
I don't know.
Too state.
I
was
don't know
like,
if he agrees with you because he also like protects Hassan at all costs.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, the whole like Sam Cedar thing, I don't understand it. It is so condescending. The idea that like Hassan, who historically is just really bad at conveying ideas, he tends to yap a whole lot and info dump, and like he can't, he retains a lot of information, but he can't convey it in a like concise and easy to understand, informative way. And so the idea that like he can't get across to Ethan what he, I guess, like should believe, right? But Sam Cedar would be able to. It's just weird, right? Like he is the approved Jew that Ethan could talk to. That's just going to change his perspective on everything. And like, what is he going to change? Is Sam Cedar going to convince him that actually he shouldn't have sympathy for Israeli civilians that got killed on October 7th? Is he going to convince him that actually a one-state solution is the solution when apparently that's not even his position? Like, I don't understand like what Sam Cedar is supposed to convince Ethan of. I don't really understand like what Hassan wants to convince Ethan of. At the end of the day, it just seems like Ethan has too much sympathy for Israeli civilian citizens than he's supposed to. That he's supposed to like actually be cool with them dying and getting like I don't understand it.
That's right. There's no.
Oh yeah, and I wanted to say another thing. People are saying this thing like Anissa ruined Ian. Like no.
That's pathetic.
Ian ruined Ian. Anissa ruined Anissa. Ian ruined Ian. They're both adults.
I agree.
They make their own.
Yes. Like people have this idea that like the old Ian, the old iDubbbz is like still deep inside there somewhere trying to claw his way out. That's just not the case. That's just not the case. Ian and Anissa are both kind of pieces of shit. So there's not much left to talk about there. I'm going to move on and cover some of the things that Denham said about this.
Shit in their house. And then Denham hosts this and see what she says. And then now we wonder why people are calling Child Protective Services.
But they called it before I even did this stream.
He lets his dogs shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. So yeah, Bad Empanada does like just like egregious lies, presenting no evidence, right? This all comes from this Giardia story where, they get this new dog, Olive, and when she came and had Giardia when they got her. And then like the next day, their infant son had diarrhea, and they were like speculating if the son had gotten Giardia, which, to be clear, never did, right? And so, that story, Bad Empanada here, is now twisting into the dog's shit all over the house, and the baby is eating the shit, and he says here, like he didn't even know what Giardia was, and so it's a microscopic parasite, right? Like even if the dog's butt had like touched the ground, even if it was like clean, those particles can get on the ground, and babies crawl on the floor a lot. It happens. There's just like an infinite amount of ways that parasite could be
or that germ could be, transferred from the dog to the child. That does not involve abuse or neglect or anything like that. But this is why people should not platform this man. And they know this. They know this. Because, he has gone after Hassan in the past, but as long as they're aligned on an enemy, they're fine, right? There's no wrong tactics to these people, just wrong targets.
I would assume he doesn't actually have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just covered in dog shit.
So whether it's Bad Empanada himself calling CPS, or as a result of this narrative being spun, right? You can see the chat here. Call CPS. Child endangerment much? CPS. Social services. Bro, someone needs to unironically call CPS. That's child endangerment. Okay, if his kids have giardia, they actually need to be taken away. That's insane. That's fucking insane.
Shit. And he has kids, and his kids crawl into the dog shit, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it, or if it's just from contact with it with their hands or something. But they contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called giardia from the dog shit that is all over his house.
Dude, how is it that maybe once a week I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, and every time I manage to find more and more terrible shit. This is where Ethan tells a story about his family getting giardia.
We already have mold Mondays. Now we have shit Saturdays.
Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like many other illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous when infants get the same sicknesses that adults get. There are lots of things that you can get as an adult. You're totally fine. You'll be A-okay. No problem. A child, a small infant that has no immune system, shouldn't be catching anything.
No wonder
it's it's one thing if you don't have the brain power, if you don't have the synapses firing enough, if you don't have enough brain cells in your head to understand or put forward or believe in accurate arguments for this whole Palestine-Israel situation. It's a whole nother thing when you bring your retardation into someone's relationship with their children and how they treat them. It's just beyond the pale to me.
His house is covered in dog shit, and his neglected children raised by nannies have contracted parasites previously unknown to science from the feces.
Previously unknown to science. That's just anything that Bad Empanada doesn't know about. That's unknown to science.
I don't know why he skipped over all of this, because everything that I said in this story, which by the way was apparently compiled by his crew.
No wonder this motherfucker is always sick. Yeah. It all makes sense now. It makes sense why he doesn't care about Palestinian children when he is neglecting his own. How is this happening? How is it happening? How is this happening?
Shit. And
so to me, even as dumb as Denim is, profoundly dumb, even as much as she hates Hassan, it just wouldn't be that hard to do a little bit of critical thinking here and be first off, there's a shit ton of stuff that Bad Empanada has lied about in the past, and about Ethan Klein especially. So we could say, well, I don't know if this is true or not. I can't confirm this, or hey, maybe we should be a little bit more careful when making accusations about his children, or no, as much as I hate him, I think, he's probably not abusing and neglecting his children. Just would not be that hard. I expect this bullshit from random snarkers on Reddit, but I expect better from content creators who are covering this stuff, even if you hate us, even if you hate Ethan. And this VOD was unlisted on March 1st. And I believe it was March 3rd when CPS was called. So to me, there's a direct correlation between this story being spun and CPS being called. And regardless of Denim's role in that, allegedly, or not, she still platformed this uncritically. And her chat totally believed it and believed that the kids were being endangered and CPS needed to be called. Here's another jewel from Denham's.
Create any bad memory for them. You're not forming memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old.
So you start forming memories around 18 months old, and it's true that most of the memories, like before 7, you're not going to remember like long term, except in few certain cases. However, memories are formed starting around 18 months. And even if a child doesn't like carry those memories with them throughout life, it can still leave effects on them for their entire lives. Like there are things that happen to infants, to children, to toddlers that can traumatize them in such a way that it like rewires their brain and it stays with them forever, even though they don't really remember that traumatic event. Like this is just like the most dumbass way to like cover your ass and try to justify this. Like it's okay. At the end of the day, it probably will not have any effect on the kids. Probably won't. But that just doesn't make it okay. And like the goal here very clearly was at least to intimidate Ethan, because this call was fraudulent. They posed as somebody that worked with them and presented a vision of things that just was not true. So at the very least, like the goal was to intimidate Ethan. It could be that they genuinely wanted the kids to be taken away. But at the very least, they would be okay with that outcome, even if that wasn't like intentionally their goal. And so there's just no defending this. There is no defending this. There's just no reason why even the most toxic, ardent haters of Ethan can't say, yeah, this was a little over the line. I don't condone this. I hope their children are okay. Still hate Ethan. That's like, it's just so easy. But these people have zero principles. It's always no bad tactics, only bad targets. Like, just imagine for a second, like if animal services got called on Kaya. Can you imagine the hand wringing and the whinging that these people would do? It would be insane.
When we're talking about being able to remember, being able to recall memories, it's like 4 is the cutoff. But even if you are forming any memories at 4, you're not going to be able to remember them past like.
Also, there's no way that she just pulled this out of her ass. Like, she looked this up beforehand so that she would have this information on hand to justify what happened.
15. You have maybe 1 or 2 memories.
Yeah, and this could be one of them, and it could be traumatic. And it's not okay. It doesn't justify what happened. We got another one here.
Even remotely, I know. But yeah, they're saying that like apparently the call was from someone who knew them, or at least the CPS agents that ended up showing up said that. I think it's very bizarre for him to try and blame me, even remotely. I know he's tried to blame me and like Trisha Paytas for this as well, which is
like, I don't think Denham's called CPS, but like she directly contributed to this. It's just a fact. Like, own the fuck up to it. And like the only reason they thought that it was somebody that worked with them because they said it was, and because they had enough information from stories and things that Ethan has talked about on the podcast to make it seem like they had inside information.
Very bizarre, because I've never mentioned CPS once. I'm pretty like
that's false. That's false.
Strongly against CPS because it's so underfunded and there aren't enough homes for people. I've never said to do this. I in fact say the complete opposite, which is like, don't tap the glass. Don't waste your time going and responding or commenting or even doing any of this shit.
So it's true that she did not technically say like CPS needs to be called on these people in that VOD, but she platformed this information and uncritically didn't push back on it at all. Didn't push back on the wave of people in her chat and people donating to TTS saying that this was neglect and that they needed to call CPS on them. So like, just like show some integrity.
I'm love.
Enjoy yourself in this stream. We can all point and laugh at the guy who looks like an insane person, and then we can go on about our lives. It's a waste of your time. If you want to go bother someone, if you want to call and get something done, call your local representative. Call your local politicians. They're literally public.
Like, that's how it should be, and that's how she should. Like, even if she wanted to believe that that story was true, she should have said, hey, as funny as it is to like shit on this guy, don't get involved at all. Don't tap the glass, as they say.
Servants. They are there to listen to you complain to them. They are there to listen to you say, I hate everything that you do. You suck at your job. Why the fuck are you in support of these bills? Why the fuck aren't you in support of these ones? That's what they're there for. So if you're going to spend your time being a hater, you should do it to your local politicians. And again, I've always said that. You can look back like years at this point. That's the only type of action that I've ever told people to engage in. Mostly, again, because I think it's a waste of your guys' time. Like going and leaving a hate comment or whatever, or giving a fuck about what this guy does. In fact, this is why people are very uncharitable in general. It's because when you are charitable, nobody notices. I've said multiple times, I'm not going to ever comment on whether or not I think that this guy, Ethan Klein, is a good father or like his relationship with his family. What I will say is it's very loser behavior to have a wife and kids and spend all your time in the editing dungeon. That's just pathetic. That's a comment on you being a pathetic loser.
Okay, that's insane. One, making content is his fucking job. It's the reason they have such a posh and privileged life. And next, like you don't have to be with your kids 24/7. Nobody is. People have to work, right? The kids go to school during the day. Kids go to bed at night. And it seems like a lot of the time that he worked on it was while they were at school or after they went to bed, right? And this was like for what, maybe 2-3 months that he worked on this video or less. I just like the lack of brain power with Denims is just astounding. Like, I would say that like she's just malicious, but I don't think that she has enough brain power to do that. And then here we have some lovely victim blaming from Denims.
You think that the reason why this happened is because you're talking about your kids contracting Giardia? Maybe you should stop talking about your children on stream in that way. I hold the parents accountable for that.
All right. Yeah, we got like another 10 seconds here of her dead air buffering. That's insane, though. That's literally victim blaming. In a normal world, in any normal circumstance, he should be able to share some, stories here and there about what's going on with his family, which he has done the entire time he's had the podcast. Right. Without CPS getting involved. Right. It is directly because of the snark communities that this happened. There's no reason that CPS should be called in this situation. And lastly, I have this funny Reddit comment here. Let's see. It says that HGH3_productions is the new snark page. It says it was most likely their pediatrician who called CPS. Hi, I'm a mandated reporter here. Just hopping on to give my non-cracked out perspective, big if true, on H3's whole, quote, my kids have a parasite you only get from eating feces. Why are people saying I'm a shitty parent situation? So first off, this is like saying like you only get pink eye from literally like taking shit and rubbing it in your eyes. It's fucking stupid. Pediatricians, teachers, and school staff workers are all mandated reporters, which means if you have enough reasonable information that leads you to believe a child's safety is in danger, you must call CPS before anything happens. So, if a kid is visibly disheveled, injured, or ill due to neglect / environment at home, you make a call because if anything happens to the kid, it will stay on your conscience forever. I don't think this person is a mandated reporter, and I hope that they're not, because they are going to be calling CPS on anyone and everyone for anything, pretty much. Ethan brought his son, who contracted fucking Giardia. Again, he did not. He never did contact Giardia. It was just him theorizing that, hey, we brought this dog home. We adopted this dog who came to us with Giardia, and the very next day, our son has diarrhea. I wonder if that's, involved in some way. That's all he said, right? And Giardia you don't have to literally eat shit to do it. It's a microscopic parasite. There are many ways that it can be transferred that don't involve neglect or abuse or anything like that. To his pediatrician, a mandated reporter. He doesn't think it was the pediatrician who called CPS after he heard that the kid was sick after crawling in and eating dog shit. So probably not, because the person said that they worked for Ethan and had like a bunch of like insider information that came from stuff talked about on the show, not stuff that a pediatrician would know, unless the pediatrician is also a snarker. It doesn't make sense to him that the doctor probably lied and reassured Ethan that getting a disease from eating shit is something all kids get before immediately calling CPS the minute the crackhead left. That makes indefinitely more sense than random Redditors calling CPS because the whole internet is out to get you. Like, the crazy making and gaslighting is insane. No, it makes much more sense that 2 days before, Bad Empanada is spinning this story about his kids eating shit. Because the doctor knows how Giardia can be contracted. Like, yeah, it makes much more sense that the story is spun and a bunch of people think that CPS needs to be called, and then 2 days later, CPS gets called. That makes way more sense. So that's all I have to say about it. I don't know. I don't know how this concludes. I don't know where things go from here. It seems like things are only going to escalate. It seems like that's what these snark communities want. It really seems like they just want him to redact himself or quit the internet. And neither of those is going to happen. So, like, where's this going to go? I think these people need to touch grass. I think they need to do something productive with their lives. I think that they need to redirect this energy into something productive for the Palestinian cause, for, bettering people's material well-being here in America. I think they could do a lot. They obviously, have a lot of organization skills when it comes to online organizing. There's a lot they could do with that, but they instead choose to use it on this. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like the video if you would. Engage with it somehow. If you want to take your support one step further, subscribe to me. My goal is to be good background noise. If there's any way I can be better background noise for you, let me know. I will see you next time.